This episode of Ham Talk Live is brought to you by Tower Electronics. For connectors, cables, and more, call 920-435-2973 or visit pl-259.com. And by Icom. Heard it, worked it, logged it. Visit www.icomamerica.com/amateur for more information about Icom radios.
Standing in the snow with a brand new radio, catching the ISS, satellites are the best. A gate on the roof, repeater down the street. What fun it is to make contacts with everyone I meet. Oh, radio, radio, cute and folks 1A. I like to get all the gifts around the USA. Hey, radio, radio, cute and folks 1A. I like to get all the gifts around the USA.
Yes, again, thanks to Emily, the harmonic of KE8FZT, for writing our holiday version of the opening of Ham Talk Live. It's episode number 283, the Amateur Radio Newsline Takeover. Recorded live on Thursday, December 9th, 2021. Good evening, everyone. I'm your host, Neil Rapp, WB9VPG. Thanks for tuning in to this episode of Ham Talk Live. Tonight we're joined by a whole bunch of people from Amateur Radio Newsline, and we'll join in that conversation here in just a little bit. Last week here on the show, Case Van Osprey, W0AAE, was here to talk about December Yoda Month. And if you missed that show, you can listen anytime at hamtalklive.com or on your favorite podcast app or YouTube, or you can catch the rebroadcast on WTWW. That's 5085 AM. Ham Talk Live is heard on WTWW Saturday afternoons at about 3:30 p.m. Eastern Time. Well, before we get into the show tonight, I want to take this opportunity to announce our prize winners of our remote license testing giveaway. So Tanner Jones, W9TWJ, is paying the fees, and we're going to give away 3 remote upgrades. We did not have any takers on new hams, but we're giving away 3 tests for upgrades. And here are the winners: Kevin, KC1OIZ, Manuel, KN6BFJ, and Jeff, N8ACL. So congratulations to all 3 of you. And Tanner will be in touch about scheduling your upgrade exam, and good luck on your upgrade. So tonight we'll open up the phone lines, and we'll have the Zoom running here with all the Newsline people. The phone number that you can call in and join us later on in the show, we'll give you that. It's 859-982-7373. Again, it's 859-982-7373. We will go to the phones a little later in the show. I'll let you know when it's time to call. But if you're listening to us live on Thursday night, you'll be able to do that. You can also tweet us. It's at Ham Talk Live on Twitter, so we'll check that. And if you're on Spreaker and have an account, you can type in the comments as well. So I'll be back with the Newsline crew right after this word from Tower Electronics, right here on Ham Talk Live.
Thank you for a lovely dinner.
Aren't you going to ask me in to solder some PL259s?
Well, I do have some from Tower Electronics.
How can I refuse?
Consider the sophisticated quality of PL259s from Tower Electronics. From soldering supplies to adapters, connectors to cables, and all types of connectors, Tower Electronics has the parts you're looking for.
Well?
Just one more connector? You know I love your PL259s.
Then by all means, take some with you.
Don't be caught without PL259s. Visit Tower Electronics at a Hamfest near you, or visit them online anytime at PL-259.com or call 920-435-2973. They also have ham sticks, mobile antennas, and meters too. See the whole catalog. Go to PL-259.com. Tower Electronics, the ham's dime store since 1978.
If a man says something in the woods and there are no women there, is he still wrong? You're listening to Ham Talk Live with Neil Rapp.
Welcome back to Ham Talk Live. Tower Electronics will be at Plant City, Florida this weekend, December 10th and 11th. But you can visit them anytime at pl-259.com. Well, welcome back to Ham Talk Live. Tonight, the Amateur Radio Newsline crew joins us on the Orlando Amateur Radio Club and Hamcation Zoom line. Amateur Radio Newsline produces a weekly newscast of interest to radio amateurs worldwide. Oprah Winfrey, Tom Brokaw, and Kevin Nealon are but a few of the people who are not correspondents for Amateur Radio Newsline. The bulletins conform to all sections and codes as outlined in Part 97 of the FCC rules about legal means of issuing bulletins of interest to all amateurs. And Newsline has a more traditional radio spot news format and is completely independent. In addition to the 20-minute newscast each week, we also have highlights on Ham Nation with Don Wilbanks, AE5DW. You can listen to the full report, though, on a repeater near you or online at arnewsline.org or your favorite podcast app, for that matter, as well as Ham Talk Live. So here at Ham Talk Live, we have some really great informative shows from time to time. And I'm betting this is not one of them.
Thinking that myself.
Yeah. So there we go. And guys, we can kill I forgot to tell you to kill the video because the bandwidth here. But and yes, and bar the door. I think Skeeter just arrived, so I hope that was him. So anyway, welcome guys to Ham Talk Live. I know some of you have been here before, some of you haven't. So let's see. We've got a whole crew here tonight. In fact, let me pull this up here. We've got Dave, WB9 or WB8 ODF, Don, AE5DW, Paul, WD9GCO, Randy, W4XJ, Chris, WB5ITT, Jim, N8TNW, Kevin Trotman, N5PRE, Andy, K9AWM, and I'm assuming Zoom user is N5ASH. So is that you, Skeeter?
Yeah, that's me.
That's Zoom user. Okay.
I just got dialed in. I was in a hurry here.
All right.
Didn't want to miss out on the festivities.
Exactly. So welcome to the show, and so I'm going to kind of try to throw in all the legal stuff and all that kind of thing, and kind of guide this, but we build this as the Newsline Takeover, and Don's already laughing about, good luck with this group.
Kind of being the operative word.
Kind of,
hurting stats.
Yes,
right,
and I love how you say
exactly.
throw in the legal stuff. You're going to keep your sponsors happy. I mean, we've been
Right,
much of us
exactly.
been in radio. We know how that works.
Yeah, we know how that works. Yeah,
Yeah. Pay the bills.
You ain't fooling
Pay the
nobody.
bills and legal ID at the top of the hour, and we're good to go. So, all right. Well, let's talk a little bit about what Newsline is before we get into all the mischief here. And I'm going to throw this to Don just because Don's kind of the guy that's been around for forever. Don, you want to talk about that a little bit, and then and maybe Jim as well.
Yeah. Now Chris Boone, he predates me by a long shot. He and Bill go way back. But since I have the floor, you mentioned all these people in the preamble who were not reporters for Amateur Radio Newsline. And you mentioned all these famous people, but let me tell you one who was, and that is the great Roy Neal, K6DUE, who was the voice of the space program for NBC back in the Apollo days. So, he was, in fact, part of the Newsline crew. And he's a silent key now, of course. But, Newsline is a news and bulletin service, like you said, and we present a weekly magazine-type format, loosely based on Spot News, the Spot News format, and also something like a magazine like, say, a 60 Minutes or something like that. It's just a short minute and a half, maybe 2 minutes, sometimes stories, about 20 minutes worth of just stories of interest to amateur radio operators. They may or may not have anything to do with ham radio, but they certainly have something to do with people who are of that hobby, more or less. So, if it's of interest to an amateur radio operator, then we're more than likely going to cover it. And that's kind of it. It's been going for over 40 years now, and started, of course, by the late, great Bill Pasternak, WA6ITF. And there you go. He also began the Amateur Radio Newsline Young Ham of the Year Award back about 30 years ago, and it is now named posthumously in his honor as the WA6ITF Amateur Radio Newsline Young Ham of the Year Award. So that's kind of a thumbnail sketch of what Newsline is, Neil.
Jim, let's go to you, N8TMW. Jim's our resident movie star here too, which we can talk about that maybe in a little bit. But Jim, you've been with Newsline over the years. What kind of adjustments and changes have you seen since you started at Newsline?
Well, I'm proud to be part of this great team, by the way. You guys are just terrific. And I kind of fell into Newsline with Jeff Clark, KAJAC, who used to co-anchor with Jim Davis, W8. Can't think of his call. Sorry about that. But they do a Huntley Brinkley kind of a thing. And they were both here in Charleston, West Virginia. And any rate, after Jim left the area to go elsewhere, Jeff asked me if I would be interested in doing that. Of course, I was honored to do that. That's how we got started. I guess the main changes I've seen, I think it's a little more streamlined now. When we did it, Bill Pasternak, WA6ITF, would send us the script, just the anchor script. We would record it doing the Huntley Brinkley thing back and forth, and then send him by FTP protocol, file transfer protocol, if you remember that. Mm-hmm. And then Bill would then add all the actuality sound bites. So now, of course, that's changed, and Karen sends the script to us, and all the correspondents record their sound bites, and each anchor puts his show together of the week he's anchoring. So, and I think it makes for a more streamlined show, and but it's been very informational. I always love to listen to it. We had a gentleman here, a ham, in our area who we air Newsline here in Charleston on Sunday nights at 8:30 during our club net. Bill Hunter, K8BS, who's a silent key now, he faithfully aired Newsline every week before it was Newsline, even when it was Westlink and all that. So I was very familiar with the program, loved it, and again, was so honored when I got to be a part of it. So that's it in a nutshell from changes that I've noticed.
I love it how Jim talks about doing the FTP file transfer protocol thing. You had it easy, Dameron. I used to have to record mine and then FedEx the tape back to Pasternak. You had it easy.
I had a lot of trouble with FTP. Sometimes
I bet you did.
Cooperate.
I can't even spell FTP.
Dropbox does make it easier.
Yes, it does.
Oh, yes, it does.
As long as you don't run out of space.
Well, we're gonna get through a few more little things here, and I think I'll throw this one to Paul just to kind of try to get everybody involved here. Right. Talk about how Newsline is independent and supported.
We are completely independent of any sort of corporate interest or sponsors, and we intend to keep it that way, just so that we can retain journalistic independence. So we're all volunteers. Nobody on staff gets paid. We all just do this because we love it. But we do still have expenses. So whatever we don't cover ourselves, we do accept outside donations. And there is a link on our website. So if you appreciate what it is we do, and you'd like to help support us, there's a PayPal link, and you can throw a couple of shekels in the box. But we don't take sponsorship for that very reason, so that we can retain editorial independence. We're not, if we get it doesn't happen often, but if there's a story about something that's reflects a little bit oddly on somebody who may at the time be a sponsor, we don't have to worry about that. And it really keeps us independent and honest.
We sleep better at night.
Yes, and sleep better at night. There you go, Kevin. Well, now, let's talk a little bit how it's produced. So for somebody who doesn't have any idea of how this thing comes together every week, which I think it's like bubble gum, duct tape, and baling wire sometimes, but we have this wonderful script writer who collects all the news. We have these copy editors like Ed, who it's 3 a.m. I think over in Germany, so he's not with us tonight. But talk a little bit about how the program is produced each week.
I can speak to that since I just got done minting this week's edition. Karen Eve Murray, who is our editor, and I speak for all of us that if we did not have Karen, there would not be a Newsline.
Exactly.
Sure. Absolutely.
She does a lot of the behind the scenes stuff, assembling stories, hunting them down. She hands out assignments. She'll send a story and a script or a story assignment if there needs to be an interview. I've done quite a few of those, to all the correspondents. And then, rides herd on the cats until all the audio comes in. And then she writes the script. She writes the anchor script that wraps around all the stories. And then she controls the schedule. There's a group of us that are regular anchors, and, we rotate unless somebody's got something going on. And then, some will cover for somebody. But so Karen hands out that assignment, and then we go to the Dropbox folder where all the week's audio and script is, and we pull those files down. And then it's up to us to, first, Kevin has taken on the responsibility of proof listening to the stories to make sure that they match up with the script. There's no major errors or omissions. And then once he's given it the thumbs up, then we're free to produce. And we pull all the audio files and the script down locally, and then we just bring it into our audio editing software. And then we record our anchor vocals on top of that, and then we cut it up into pieces and glue it all together, and then render out the Newsline for the week. And then we put it back in Dropbox, and then Kevin, we'll let Kevin explain what happens to it from there. But so that's the first time I did it, it was kind of scary because Don and Karen, I had volunteered to be a correspondent right after Bill passed away because it sounded like they could use some help, and I had some experience and I had the equipment. And for whatever reason, Don temporarily lost his mind and said, "Sure, come on in." And and then about a month or so later, they said, "Hey, Want to try being an anchor? I'm like, oh, crap. But you get used to it. And, this last one here, I did some pre-production work last night. And then when I got home from work tonight, it went together pretty quickly. So we've got a pretty good system, and it works really well. So, Kevin?
I will say, though, real quick before we interject, since you just finished the upcoming report, Karen does have to take one extra step when it's your turn to anchor. She makes sure that she types real slow because she knows you can't read real fast.
And she uses really big type and tries to use really small words.
Well, there you go.
And when I'm anchoring, it's the world of unpronounceable DX. She throws every crazy country that I've never heard of before.
Yeah. All right. So then, Kevin.
Yeah, Kevin.
Once we put the finished files up in Dropbox, what do you do from there? Because Kevin's our webmaster.
Right. Well, once in a while, I get thrown a bone as well, and I can read a story.
Kevin's also
a fine job too, by the way. Great.
Kevin is also one of our correspondents.
Yeah. Yes, I actually I kind of got it started. I put my foot in the door about 2009. I became official, but a couple of years before that, I was actually going to the website, downloading the MP3, and reposting it as a podcast, so I could have it automatically be on my iPod at the time. And I did that for a couple of years, and I reached out and I asked sheepishly if Bill Pasternak minded if I did that, and he was overjoyed that I took the initiative to do that and invited me to actually come and make it official. So some of my duties are, like Paul said, we get a little bits of the script, each one of us, and read our stories, and we save them all on Dropbox. And then on Wednesday afternoon, usually about 4:00 or so, Karen is finished with the entire script, has it all together, and she puts it on Dropbox. So I pull it down, and I start listening to each of the audio files, and I compare them to what is written in the script. And we have to make a few adjustments once in a while, and every once in a while somebody will get a call sign wrong or something. So we get them. Hopefully there's something in there we can fix it surgically, like if somebody says a letter that was wrong, but they also say it somewhere else in the story, we lift and insert to make the correction. Or if the person is available, we'll have them just recut it. And sometimes, though, some of those correspondents are on the other side of the world and they're asleep, and we got to go produce. So we do the best we can with mistakes like that, but they don't happen very often. Once I've listened to the proof, listened to everything, I put my thumbs up on the messenger, on Facebook Messenger, let everybody know that whoever's producing this week, you got a green light to go ahead and produce. And they will put the files together along with their the words in between, and make sure everything is all at the same levels. Make sure we don't have an over 20 megabytes on the file size, because there's a hard limit on our website for that. And they post it and let us know. And then that's when I go in and take the finished files and I prepare the web page for a new entry. It's basically like a blog, and you go to the news portion of the website and you'll see the most recent episode. And there's a title, and then there's bullets, and then there's a link for the script and the audio. There's several ways you can get the audio. You can get it directly with a download, right click, or you can there is an actual download button in a little black box, or you can play it on the actual web page. Also, we have we're listed as a podcast in Apple Podcast, or in Google Play, or you can just get the RSS feed at the top right-hand part of the page and put it in your favorite podcast, whatever you use, what software you use. And You can also ask what we call the Magic Genie, because if you say her name, it'll invoke her. Alexa. You can ask Alexa to play Amateur Radio Newsline, and it'll play the most recent episode for you. And so here we go. We got everything together. I get it prepared, and I put it on the website, and I just published it just prior to us going live here tonight. So Thursday night, usually around 7:30, 8:30, 9 o'clock, somewhere in that range. That's usually when we get it posted. And I put links on Facebook, on our Newsline page on Facebook, and a couple of other places, and people find it that way. And it's been going great for the last 12 years or so. And almost all of those shows are archived on our website. I think there are a few exceptions, but if you are searching for one, usually you can reach out to our group, and somebody will have it downloaded and saved and preserved, because that's just the kind of fans we have. They really are good.
Yep. And then we've got Dave, who puts it out there for IRLP and All Star and all that kind of thing. And
that's
we'll talk about that. But it's already time to take our first break, so we're going to have to do that. But we'll come back and we'll talk about the IRLP stuff with Dave and everything else under the sun, most likely. So I'll be back right after this word from Icom America, right here on Ham Talk Live. Happy holidays from Icom. This season, spice up your ham shack with Icom's IC705 portable or the new ID52A handheld, now shipping. These radios are perfect for staying in or venturing out and working your favorite bands this winter season. The IC705 is the perfect sidekick and QRP companion. Base station features and functionality at the tip of your fingers in a portable package covering HF, 6 meters, 2 meters, and 70 centimeters. This compact rig weighs in at just over 2 pounds with RF direct sampling for most of the HF band and IF sampling for frequencies above 25 megahertz. It has a 4.3-inch color touchscreen with live band scope and waterfall, 5 watts with the battery, 10 watts with the power supply, sideband CW, AM, FM, full D-Star functions, Bluetooth, wireless LAN, integrated GPS, micro SD card slot, speaker mic comes standard, and supports QRP and QRP-P operations. The perfect accessory for the IC705 is the optional backpack with a special compartment for your IC705 and room for accessories for soda activations or a day out in the wild. The ID52A is now shipping. Icom's newest handheld amateur radio is a VHF-UHF dual bander with D-Star and FM dual mode functions. This radio supports conventional FM communications and D-Star simplex, repeater, regional, and worldwide calls over the D-Star Internet Gateway. The ID52A is the first handheld amateur radio with a full-color 2.3-inch waterfall display and the ability to send photos over D-Star with a connected Android device. Other features include a wideband receiver with a guaranteed range of 144 to 148 and 440 to 450 megahertz. You can have VHF on both sides, UHF on both sides, or one of each with dual DV mode. Integrated GPS, including grid square location, a micro SD card slot, micro USB for data, programming, and charging, and is IPX7 waterproof. The ID52A is the perfect companion to the IC705. Both use compatible batteries and headsets, and you can use the same Android app for D-Star operation. Our family of favorite Icom amateur radios are also available this holiday season. The IC9700, IC7300, and IC7610 base stations, and the ID5100A mobile are the perfect gift, and it's the most wonderful time of year to give the gift of Icom. Visit IcomAmerica.com/amateur for more information on Icom radios.
Join the conversation. Give us a call at 859-982-7373. Again, the number to call is 859-982-7373. Or, if you'd rather type than talk, tweet us at Ham Talk Live. Now, here's Neil Rapp with more Ham Talk Live.
You're listening to Ham Talk Live, the #1 podcast amongst the podcasts with the words Ham, Talk, and Live in the title. Here's your host, Neil Rapp.
Welcome back to Ham Talk Live. We're on the air every Thursday night at 9 p.m. Eastern Time right here at hamtalklive.com. And be sure to check us out on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. And we're going to talk about Amateur Radio Newsline a little bit more here in just a minute. But first, it is time for the N9 GSU Joke of the Week.
Now it's time for the Ham Talk Live Ham Radio Joke of the Week, the part of the show where Rick tells us a ham radio joke. The Ham Talk Live Ham Radio Joke of the Week is brought to you by QRM Labs. Now, here's Rick Garrett, N9 GSU, with today's Ham Talk Live Joke of the Week.
At field day last year, I was surprised when one of the operators pulled up in an exterminator's van. I said, "You told me you worked on computers." He said, "No, I said I was a debugger."
This has been the Ham Talk Live Ham Radio Joke of the Week with Rick Garrett, N9 GSU. Tune in again next week for another joke from Rick.
And there's Skeeter with the Ed McMahon.
That's a groaner.
Wow.
All right. Well, Rick's got another new one for next week, so we'll get another one.
Great. Thanks.
Great. Yeah, absolutely.
I think dangerous, at least not.
That's what makes me keep tuning in.
Exactly.
Well, let's go over to Dave Parks, WB8 ODF, and I ran into Dave because there were some issues with playing Newsline over, I think it was Echolink. I was trying to get it to work, and so he jumped in and started helping and helped me with getting my RLP node going and everything. And then all of a sudden, a few months later, he shows up and starts being a correspondent for Amateur Radio Newsline, and he has taken his IRLP and Echolink and All-Star talents and made some things happen. We had another situation, kind of like Kevin, where someone had just decided, I'm going to put Newsline out on IRLP so that everybody can download it, and then it kind of, it was just kind of forgotten about. And so Dave came in and has been doing some stuff. So tell us a little bit about that, Dave.
Well, hi, Neil and everybody. I want to start by saying that joke, it's just hard to follow. It really is. I first wrote, I see hissing in the background there. I wrote the first IRLP script to download and play Newsline. And just recently I've moved over to All-Star, and I'm starting to, support everybody as far as Newsline's concerned on All-Star as well. And let me say, we don't have time tonight, but I have a great story of how I came into Newsline through Don Wilbanks, and it's kind of a funny story. But anyways, back to IRLP Newsline. Many people wanted to move over to having Newsline on their own machines instead of listening to the repeaters and whatnot. And I thought, well, let's talk more about the owners of the repeaters. Can you guys play it? They started playing it every week, almost every day of the week. Different repeaters for different days of the week. But man, it was, I program. That's what I do. And I fell in love with Amateur Radio Newsline early on. Been listening for years and years and years and wanted to become part of it. And I got to say, Neil, you mentioned that you and I got together. You are the reason I finally emailed Karen Eve Murray, KD2GUT, and said, hey, I really would love to be part of this group. And then she said, well, send a little something to Don Wilbanks, AE5DW, and see what he says. We're always looking for people. So I did, and here I am. But again, next time we all get together, I will tell you the Don Wilbanks. I'm a program manager, and I got a couple of things I want to say. I like to read, and we'll do the rest later.
I don't even remember this, but okay, yeah, production director. That's what I.
Oh,
that's
yeah,
what
I'm sorry. What did I say?
Program. Yeah, I was production. Yeah,
I'm sorry. That was me.
I was a production director in my former broadcast
I thought it was a funny story. We'll get to it later.
Yeah, I want to hear it because it's going to be new to me too because I can't remember it. Because then I can't remember it yesterday.
I did the reading of Space Bees. All of the satellites out there ready to crash into each other. And I thought, hey, that's a great read right there. But I'm going to hold it.
Yeah, hold it. This is great.
Yeah, we'll do it next time we all get together. But, Neil, it's been a pleasure doing scripting for IRLP and All-Star as well. And above all, it's just great to be part of this group. It really is. You guys are fantastic. Way before I became any part of this. It's just I've been listening since I was, I want to say in my teens, but that would be like 100 years ago. So that's my story.
It's true. It's true. I have been fantastic for quite a long time.
Yes, you have, and I'm glad you have pants on.
Humble too. He's humble. He'll tell you he's the most humble person he knows.
Yeah, he's got the book out.
I agree with him. Neil, that's my report for today, and thanks for having me on here.
Yeah, thanks for being here. Well, we'll open up the phone lines. If you have a question, give us a call, 859-982-7373, or you can tweet us at Ham Talk Live. And if you're listening to us on WTWW or the podcast edition, you won't be able to reach us because we're doing this live on Thursday. All right. Well, we've got a few other things to get to, but Andy Morris and K9AWM's just kind of been lurking around in the background here, but you hear his voice on this show. Yeah, and Andy and I actually got started in radio about the same time. I think I was maybe 1 year ahead of him or something, but it was just about the same time, the same FM broadcast station.
But so you got smart and got out of it.
Yeah, and I got out of it. Yeah. Everybody, I still remember everybody saying, well, wait a minute, you're training me on this radio station. Why haven't I seen you in any of the broadcast classes? And it's like, well, I'm pre-med.
I thought you were pre-law.
Same difference.
Sorry, flashing back to Animal House there.
There you go. So, Andy, talk about you're one of the newer Newsline people, but you've been doing this for a while. Talk about being a correspondent and what you've done here.
Well, I kind of had a story similar to Dave's. I just kind of fell into it. Obviously, I've known Neil for a while, long time, and I heard Amateur Radio Newsline, and I thought, well, that might be fun. I can volunteer for that. So got a hold of Neil, who then sent me through Don and to Karen, and around the horn we went. And I've only been doing it for, I think, about 2 years now. I really enjoy it. I get a lot of feedback from the local hams here in Southwest Indiana and Southeast Illinois. You'll kind of get that look occasionally if they hear my call sign or recognize my voice, and they'll say, I heard you do a Newsline the other day. Was that you? And I go, yeah, thanks for listening. So enjoy it. I love it. I just get a text or a email every now and again from Karen saying, hey, can you knock this out before Tuesday or Wednesday? And I'm happy to do so, and looking forward to getting more involved.
All right. Well, thank you Andy for being here, and let's go over to Chris, because we're trying to get everybody in the list here a little bit at least before we have to go. Chris, talk a little bit about your history with Newsline and some of the origins. Don says even goes back before him. So,
oh yeah. Well, I became involved after I met Bill. Bill was writing for 73 magazine, the Looking West column. And think it was about 15 or 16 at the time, and I called Bill on the phone one night. We chatted for about 3 hours. Needless to say, my mom was not happy about the telephone bill the next month. 30 cents a minute adds up, you know. And we were discussing repeaters and VHF in Texas. I was active in I still am a life member of the Texas VHFM Society and served on the board of directors twice. And we just got to shooting the bull, and of course it dragged on and finally had to hang up. Well, Bill and I kept in contact on a regular basis, and about that time, my neighbor across the street, Vic LaRocca, WA5EFI, he started getting the cassette tapes from Jim Hendershot of the old Westlink Radio News. And I started actually taking them out on my motorcycle, and I'd find the highest overpass in the area and broadcast it on 5.2 Simplex. And then the Mobile Oil Amateur Radio Club decided to start a net up on their 2-meter repeater. So I started doing it over there after every Monday night net. And, of course, Jim and Bill got together, and Bill took over the Westlink operations and changed the name to Newsline. I think there was a trademark issue somewhere in that. And I've been I'm probably the oldest, well, I don't know if I can admit that or not. Let's just say longest running Newsline bulletin station in Texas since the mid-1970s. Of course, I haven't been doing it for a while since I'm over in New Orleans now. But it's been a long time relationship with the group. Bill and I probably talked at least every week, sometimes 2 times a week on the phone. I'd call him late at night, and we'd shoot the bull for about 30 minutes to an hour. And really got to know Bill real well over the years. And in fact, the night before he passed, I called him at about 11 o'clock, and something in the back of my mind said I hadn't talked to Bill in a while, and I picked the phone up and called him. And he answered, and he sounded horrible. And he just said, Chris, he said, I'm going to bed. And this was early for Bill. And he said, I'm going straight to bed. Can you call me back, tomorrow, the next day? And I went, yeah, sure. And then, unfortunately, the next day I heard he was in the hospital and then passed away. And that just, it kind of shocked me and stunned me. But, I made his memorial service out there in California. In fact, about 6 months to a year earlier, I just bought an AM radio station in the Beaumont, Texas area. And I started playing Newsline on Sunday mornings there. And I know Bill was happy to see that added to the list. And his adopted daughter, we were talking on the phone the night before I was flying out, and she went, now, Chris, Dad would like you to come out here dressed casual, no suit or anything. And I went, it's only 80 degrees out there in California. Come on, and made the trip. Don't ever fly Spirit Airlines, by the way. No, I never will. We were supposed to push away from Intercontinental in Houston at 2:00, and we didn't finally leave the airport until 10 p.m. And it's like never again. But made the memorial service, and we're standing outside the church. Richard Rudman and a bunch of other broadcast engineers were all standing around shooting the bull, and Bill's daughter comes walking up, and of course we're all in suits. And she walks up and she goes, aren't you guys all hot? It's a heat wave out here. And I looked over and I kind of smirked and I went, yeah, she's never been to Texas and seen a tree melt in the summer. So, we had to throw a little humor in there. And everybody got a good laugh out of it. And she kind of looked at me funny, like, what is he talking about? But, it's been a proud association with Newsline. And I still, I still remember the good times with Bill, and there's been some not so good times, but not with Bill. It was with third parties. But he was kind of like a second father to me growing up. I lost my dad early before my 14th birthday, and Bill and I really got to really bonded on the phone and became good friends. And all I can say is I'm very proud to still be associated with the group, even though I'm kind of inactive right now. But hopefully that'll be changing before too long.
Oh, very good. Well, I want to get Randy in here before we go back to Zoom user, better known as Skeeter.
Why you? I ought
to. So, Randy, you've come on board recently. So talk a little bit about your joining Newsline.
Yeah, I'm the new kid on the block. I've been around about a year now, I think, and even though I've been in ham radio about 57 years, so I've been around ham radio a long time, and just had kind of a time in my life where I have a little bit more time to kind of give back, and I thought this is a place for me. I've got some gifts and skills that I can offer, and just contacted Don and Karen and just kind of went to work. And I love it. It's really fun, and working with Karen is great because I'll write a story, and it's the first time in working with an editor, she'll send it back saying, I made some gentle edits. I've never had gentle edits before. I've had copy thrown back at me. So kind of cool working with somebody that gives you gentle edits.
Yeah. Gentle. That doesn't exist in radio.
No, it sure doesn't. So anyway,
this sucks. Recut it.
Yeah, it's great. I've just been enjoying being a part of this great group, and look forward to many years doing it.
All right. Well, thank you, Randy, and thank you for all you do to help us out here at Newsline. And all right. Well, I know Paul's chomping at the bit to talk about hearing Newsline from an early age. I remember being like, I don't know, 7, 8. I actually found a tape of one of the teleconferences that Bill did. And they'd call up on the auto patch and dial in and pay the long distance phone bill to tie in and all that kind of stuff. But I haven't got Skeeter on here yet. So Zoom user, where are you tonight and what's going on?
Well, I'm actually eastbound on Interstate 24, driving my big semi truck, enjoying the program, and I'm headed back down to get a live load in Murfreesboro and backhaul that to the place where I work out of in Shelbyville, Tennessee. So I am mobile. And this is N5ASH Mobile, and just glad to be a part of the show. Really, Neil, thanks for hosting us tonight. We've all kind of several of us have kind of hogtied your show a time or two and had a great time doing it. But this is really nice that you've kind of let us all come on and tell a little bit about not only Newsline but also the people behind it, because they're a solid group of folks. I'm so honored and grateful to be associated with Newsline. It's a blast.
All right. Well, let's go to Paul here, because I know he's got to take off to run Newsline actually on his local net. So, Paul, talk a little bit about hearing this and back in your childhood.
Okay, yeah, I'm gonna have to go quick because Newsline is ending and then my net starts. I grew up down in Southern Illinois. I was licensed in 1977, and I belonged to the Marissa, Illinois Amateur Radio Club, which is Heil's club. And our repeater carried Westlink once a week. Somebody would punch up the auto patch and dial into one of those answering machines and play it. So I listened to it every week when I was a kid in high school. And for me now to be one of the anchors on this thing after, I've been licensed for 44 years, is just a thrill and an honor to me that it's kind of like a full circle thing that I get to be part of it now. So.
Discontinued operation.
Very good.
Well, a little external audio there. That's nice.
Well, that was. I'm sorry. I was checking my repeater, so I don't miss my.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, I have to do last call for one of our club members who passed away this past week, so I wouldn't want to miss that.
Oh, I'm sorry to hear that.
Very good. Yeah, I'm sorry.
Condolences.
Sorry to hear that, and we'll let you get on your way and get that done, because that's an important duty. So we'll let you go, Paul. But thanks for being here. All right.
Andy's
well, I think
gone.
I've got. Yeah, Andy's gone, and I think I've got everybody. We got everybody in tonight. So, and we're still running late, but I don't know. I think Skeeter. I'm thinking I want to hear this story from Dave.
Me too.
Story from Dave.
Oh, Dave.
Okay. I don't know the story from Dave.
Are you sending it to me?
Yes.
I'm sending it to you, Dave.
Yeah, because he doesn't want to hear any of my stories.
No one does, Skeeter.
Although I do appreciate Skeeter delivering the goods.
All right, well,
being a truck driver. I mean, thanks for doing that. I really appreciate it.
Well, everybody's got to eat.
It's the second joke of the week. Yeah.
That's job security for me, unlike what I had in broadcast radio. Right, Don?
Yes.
Don and I have both been shown the door on our radio careers, basically, and it
Chris
was fun.
was.
It hardly paid anything, but it was fun.
Right, and Chris was my chief engineer at iHeart New Orleans for a number of years, right there at the end too. So that was kind of cool. All right, so Dave, enlighten us with this story that involves me that I don't remember.
All right. Well, I remember clearly that it was Neil when I was helping him with IRLP that I said, okay, you know what? I've been listening to these guys for years and years and years. I'd like to be part of it. And Neil, you said, get in touch with Karen Eve Murray, KD2GUT. And I did. I said, I would really like to get in on this. I haven't done anything radio-wise in many years. And she said, grab a little audition tape. And actually, I know I said tape, but it was an MP3.
That's okay. Tape sounds better.
Yeah. When you have gray hair like me, you have to say tape. So I sent my Space Bees reread to Don. And Don wrote me back and said, I like the read, but as a production person, I'm probably the only person that will say this from the Newsline crew. And that's, I don't know what microphone you're using, but I can hear your entire room. And I thought, can he really? I went back and listened to it. And sure enough, my condenser microphone was picking up everything.
Yep.
And Don, I changed microphones, and just say nobody else is going to say this to you, Dave. But I'm just a word. I can hear your room.
Well, that wasn't nearly as asinine and nasty as I thought I would say.
Well,
I'm known for being nasty and asinine. So
let me
right, Chris.
Let me finish by saying it was interesting. It was fun. And got to be honest with you, Don, you're just a teeny bit intimidating. And I think that was part of my read.
I've heard that before, and I don't understand it. But I'm the hugest teddy bear in the world. It was so funny. And I know we're running way over, but my wife, when we first met, she was working at a local auto parts place, a Western Auto, which of course doesn't exist anymore. And I would go in, and all of the guys that work there, they were scared to death of me. They were like, he beat you, doesn't he? I know he does. He just looks mean. I don't see any bruises. He must hit you where doesn't show. Don's like, no, he's the biggest pussycat in the world. I don't know where you're getting this. And
it just the teeny tiniest bit, but it was enough for me to go, oh, I better go back and listen to that.
Dave, this is Paul. Actually, I had a short check-in tonight. Just poke him back.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, just poke him back, and it'll be all right.
Yeah.
Well, I can do that now.
Yeah.
Well, you could have done that then.
I would just like to mention, I don't know if this was mentioned while I was running my thing. This group really is like family.
Yeah.
All of us, we've discovered, actually, surprisingly, we all like each other. And we've all agreed that if we had a physical office to work in, we would pretty much all be the people we would want to work with.
Yep, pretty much.
We all work very much together. We all cover each other. We've got each other's back. If somebody has an emergency and can't do something, somebody's always there to step in and take care of it. So,
and I've been there.
I mean, this really is. I mean, it's a weird, dysfunctional, twisted family, but we are all family.
The biggest problem with this job is pronunciation. I have gone to Karen many, many times going, is that this or is it that? And she said, no, it's that.
The great thing about Google is you can Google something and you can actually hear a native speaker pronounce it. I have done that many times in the world.
Yes, I have
exactly.
I went over there because Karen got tired of me going, how do you pronounce Bill?
Bill Pasternak never did that with his scripts. It was all these names, and of course, people's names can be pronounced any way they want them to be pronounced. We never knew what we just took. We take a gamble. Let's just say it this way and
stab in the dark.
Yeah. So at least now we can somewhat sound like we know something.
If you don't know how to pronounce it properly, pronounce it however, but make it sound authoritative.
Exactly. Make it sound like you know what you're doing.
That's right.
Yeah.
And speaking of being, if we were all together in a group, we would be the people that we would want to be all together in a group, in a room somewhere working. I got to think that Pasternak would be so freaking proud of the group that has come together to continue the walk that he started. I know I certainly am.
Yeah, I'm this. I can't be more proud to be part of this.
And it was said earlier tonight, but thank goodness for Karen.
Yes,
absolutely.
She's got the pace to keep us together.
Yeah.
Well, here's how Karen came on. Since Zoom user is here with us tonight, it was. Sorry, Skeeter.
I get no respect. No
respect at all. Oh. My phone rings one night, and Skeeter's like, "Hey, Don, I got Bill on the horn." I'm like, "Oh, great!" So we're sitting here talking, and we're talking about, okay, well, Bill was sick, and we got to make sure that the newscast gets out, and Skeeter, I had taken a brief break from producing because I was doing night classes 3 nights a week for real estate school back then. And Skeeter was kind of taking over the helm for Bill. I just couldn't do it. I didn't have time. And he's like, okay, well, we've got someone who has written in who would like to help in the interim, until you get to feeling better, Bill. And her name is Karen Eve Murray, and she used to write for New York Newsday. And all you can hear, and again, like Chris said, man, Bill's voice was so frail. This was probably the night after you talked to him, Chris. It really probably was, because the next day he was gone. He was like Skeeter is basically reading her resume, and you can hear him in the background going, hire her, hire her, hire her, hire her, hire her. And that's all he said was hire her. And we did. And she has been the saving grace of what we were doing. And unfortunately, she never got to meet Bill or know Bill. But I know that those two would be just fast friends. And
absolutely. Absolutely. They would have been.
He's proud. He's looking down, and in his Brooklyn Jewish accent, he's going, such a fine thing.
Yep.
Don, I don't know if you mentioned, but we now have an Amateur Radio Newsline ham radio club.
We do.
Did you mention that?
No, I did not. But yeah, and our call sign, oddly enough, is WA6ITF. And it was Bill's daughter who helped us get that. She wrote the letter that we submitted to the FCC to get that that call sign released because it was still valid. And so, yeah, the Amateur Radio Newsline Amateur Radio Club, ARNARC, is sorry, that's how I hear it in my head.
Yep,
is WA6ITF, and it's about time we activated that call sign again.
Absolutely,
so.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, you know, something that you guys were mentioning IRLP and all that earlier. Something I came across, I think, totally by accident, but found out there is a dedicated Echolink node that if you dial into it, if you pull it up, it's called Newsline, and it will start playing the current week's newscast. So if for some reason you're not on the internet, you're not, you're not able to hear it on a repeater or whatever, you've also got that as a resource for listeners that want to check it out. Just go to Echolink and go look for search the Newsline node, and it's just an automatic start. It starts playing and it stops every few minutes. The thing can reset, but it does play the whole newscast. So
let me mention this, Skeeter. There's also an IRLP reflector 0016. You can, if you're on IRLP and your repeater or your node just doesn't play it, you can go to 0016, hear the entire thing. And I know it's up and working because they're getting a newscast off my servers and not off of, I shouldn't say this, off of what is it, Squarespace. Yeah, thank you. Yeah.
Also, if you are part of the Ham Shack Hotline Network, there is an extension you can dial into now to listen to Newsline as well.
And
the old-fashioned way over the phone?
You can't hide from us anymore, can you?
Well, yeah, the old-fashioned way. Well, the new old-fashioned way over the VoIP phone.
What goes around comes around.
That's right.
Amen.
Started with phones, and now you can listen to it on a phone again.
By the way, we should probably mention, for those who don't know, the website address is arnewsline.org, arnewsline.org. Paul mentioned the PayPal link that's up there. We are a 501c3 organization. Donations are accepted. And hey, Mr. or Ms. Ham radio operator that has a little bit of money laying around and doesn't want to give it to Uncle Sam, it's that time of year. You can still get that tax-deductible donation to Amateur Radio Newsline and knock that off the top of your taxes. So we got that going for us, which is nice.
Yep.
Absolutely.
And any help would be appreciated. Neil, back to you.
Thank you.
How long is it till Spreaker just kicks us out?
Yeah. Actually, we've got an hour and 56 minutes before that happens, but
plenty of time.
But Neil's going to wrap things up here pretty soon here. But I do want to mention, Karen couldn't be with us. She sent me a text a little bit earlier. She I don't know, it hasn't been a good day apparently. So she had to respectfully but sadly bail on us tonight, but our thoughts are with Karen, and we missed her, and we've got I don't know what 30 some people on that email list of people in New Zealand and in England and in Germany and all over the place that are a part of the Newsline family, and so you got about a third of them tonight. But we're
what's really cool is
them as well.
What's really cool is in the beginning of Newsline, it always starts with from around the world. It literally is from around the world. So we're real proud of that.
Yep.
And the news that we cover too is not just local. I mean, we cover
international. Yeah,
absolutely. Yeah. So. And we have like international newsmaker awards and stuff. So it's really a thing that we're all kind of proud of.
Most recent winner is extraterrestrial.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's right.
All right. Well, Paul, give us a little preview here. You just finished anchoring a while ago. Give us a little preview, and then we're going to shut things down for the night.
Like what? You want me to read some of it?
No, just some of the topics.
Oh, the bullet points. The bullet points.
Sure. The bullet point. The talking points.
Yeah, it'd be
Read
great
the
if
whole thing.
If I had the script up handy. Hang on. And Newsline tracks.
Amateur Radio Newsline report number. No.
Well,
current week files, and there we go. Okay. Well, we do mention the new FCC commissioner. The first time that it's been a woman in charge of the FCC.
I did that story. Whoopie-doo.
Yeah, Jim did that story. So, and we talk about how some hams have possibly used some data from WhisperNet to possibly locate a missing airliner that crashed 7 years ago.
That's a cool story. That made international news everywhere, which is really cool for amateur radio.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. We talk about Skywarn recognition, and
that was my story.
Yep, and there's a new chapter of the AMSAT group overseas now, and we did talk about Bill Somerville, the one of the main developers in the WSJTX, and yeah, there's a variety of things. There's a story from India about a very early Indian radio engineer who kind of laid the ground for the work that Marconi later did. And it's all kinds of stuff. So
it's a plethora, a virtual cornucopia, if you will.
Yeah, it is. Yeah,
amateur radio news and features.
Typical thing. I mean, it's stories, news, slice of life. The ending story, the kicker is always usually something heartwarming or fun. So,
yeah.
So listen in.
All right.
Good week.
Listen in, arnewsline.org or a repeater near you or IRLP.
Subscribe to the podcast. That's how I do
subscribe. Yep. You name it. We're there. So, all right. Well, I'm going to finish up here with the last word. The last word just was texted to me from downstairs.
Oh, here we go.
That's from Julie. Uh-oh. It says, Don doesn't intimidate me.
You may be giving the last word, but this show's been done for a long time.
Yeah. Yeah, she says, Don doesn't intimidate me. I've traced his whole body.
That's true. And printed it out on multiple sheets of paper.
And printed out on multiple sheets of paper and glued it to a foam board.
And glued it. So she has literally touched every square inch of an image of my body.
And it's a very small image.
Well,
yeah, I got the proportions off just a little bit.
Yeah, it's not quite to scale.
Flat Don ended up about a foot short, but
and then,
I still have that, by the way. That cardboard cutout is around here somewhere in my house.
The original Flat Don was such a success that I have a friend of mine who owns a sign shop. Had him print out a permanent Flat Don that we can take around to Hamfests.
And I love the kilt. The kilt really pops.
Yeah. Oh, the fans stopping by the booth love to pose with Flat Don.
Let me tell you something. My wife and I went out to see some live music one night, and I know the pain that women go through with perverts, because there was some drunk chicks behind me with a cell phone camera, and I got to tell you, it wasn't fun. Probably wasn't for them either, but be that as it may. Yeah. That was the weirdest experience I've ever had in my life.
Are we still on the air?
Over to you, Paul.
Yeah.
Speaking of weird experiences.
Yeah.
Played off.
Hope the tape delay is working.
Good night, everybody. That's a true story.
I've spent a weekend in a hotel room with him. That was scarring.
You too?
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's a little too much information.
I get around.
Oh, and by the way, before I forget, Jacob Lindsay did write in on Twitter and says, "You know it's a party when Don shows up for ARN."
Oh, Lord, here we go. Yeah.
I was going to say, Neil, we didn't get any phone calls. I mean, I was expecting, some requests. You say it, we play it. That's how we do it here on it.
That's exactly. It's the $1 million request guarantee.
That's right.
People did ask for my
give us $1 million and we'll talk about it. Guaranteed.
No, they asked for us. Well, never mind. It's not the
poor Neil.
Yeah.
I'm going to be nice. I'm going to be nice.
Neil, you better end this, Neil.
Yeah.
Before you come down with PTSD.
Yeah, exactly. And several other letters you don't want to talk about.
Yep. All right, and Andy, you want to get us out of this live? Are you there, Andy?
You're muted.
Oh, I can do that. Sure. Thanks for listening to Ham Talk Live.
There you go.
That was glorious.
I don't even have a recording of that one.
Makes me proud to be an American.
That's right.
He gets paid just as much to do that as we do for Newsline.
Just remember, it's the number one podcast with the words ham, talk, and live in the title.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
I've heard that.
Yeah.
Of all the podcasts you'll listen to this week, we're one of them.
We're one of them. Exactly.
You need to just
Hey, not listen long, but you'll listen.
We'll keep going till midnight. I could do this all night.
I know.
You want me to mention Icom? Icom's great. I love Icom. As a matter of fact, if anybody feels like gifting things to a certain hard-working truck driving amateur radio operator, send me a 7300.
And
Santa, bring me a 7300.
PL259. Send me PL259.
Yeah, I could use
you can mail that to Amateur Radio Newsline in care of Zoom user.
Yes, that's right. Nothing says "I love you" like the gift of a PL259.
That's right.
That's right.
That's true. From a Zoom user.
All right. Well, we're going to end this. Thanks, guys, for being here. Thanks for being your usual entertaining selves, and as well as
unusual
as educating us about Amateur Radio Newsline.
Neil, it's been fun to be on the final episode of Ham Talk Live.
That's right. Next week's Newsline includes an obituary on Ham Talk Live.
Well, I'll get that story. Karen seems to give me all the silent
Yeah.
key stories.
Yeah. What is it with that, Dave? You always get the silent key stories.
Well, in her defense, she also gave me the POTA scripts because I truly am the first Parks on the air.
Yeah.
I get jokes. I get it, jokes.
Wow.
We got 3 jokes this week?
Yeah. That's
in name only.
All right, well, that's a wrap for this week's edition of Ham Talk Live. Thanks to my guests from Amateur Radio Newsline and everybody out there in cyberspace for listening and typing in, and invite you back next Thursday night, 9 p.m. Eastern Time, when Ham Talk Live may return. And for now, this is
the frequency to abnormal amateur use.
Yes, exactly. So for now, this is Neil Rapp, WB9 VPG, saying 7375, and may the good DX be yours. And that's a wrap.
Well, you came right back to my CQ call. Your readability 5 and strength 9. You never once mentioned your weather at all, and I didn't mention mine. We talked and talked for hours and hours. I completely forgot you're a ham. I don't know your